The KwaZulu-Natal government has placed disaster management teams on high alert as the province is expected to experience heavy rains from Sunday until Tuesday. For more on this, I'm joined in studio by South African Weather Service meteorologist Lehlohonolo Thobela. Lehlohonolo, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. Now, SAWS has issued a level 2 warning for KZN from midday today until 8 p.m. tomorrow. What does a level 2 warning entail?
Good evening and thanks for having me. Yeah, we've had quite extreme weather for the eastern parts, and the one that's issued for tomorrow, it's severe thunderstorms that are expected to result in probably heavy downpours that might lead to localized flooding, damaging winds, as well as a possibility of hail in those areas. It stretches to the southeastern parts of Mpumalanga for tomorrow. It's mainly for tomorrow, and it's just severe thunderstorms. And then we have damaging winds and waves that are expected along the south coast of the Western Cape into the Eastern Cape province. And it's like orange level 5 for the waves that are expected to be extreme. It means the impacts will be significant, with the high likelihood of it happening, as well as some damaging winds along the south coast. Then we also have disruptive rain then from tonight into tomorrow. That's expected along the Cape Winelands in the Western Cape into the city of Cape Town municipality. So it's mainly those warnings that we have tonight into tomorrow. But tomorrow it's mainly severe thunderstorms over KwaZulu-Natal as well as the southern parts of Mpumalanga, and then damaging winds and waves along the south coast and disruptive rain in the Western Cape. So what it means is that we have a high likelihood of severe thunderstorms expected for tomorrow. However, the impact that's expected will be minor. It won't be as severe that you would see in much more of the orange level 5 or level 6 that's seen over most parts of the south coast.
Speaking of severity, I mean, we saw the amount of snow that was experienced in the KZN area last week. With this level 2 warning, is the severity of what we are to expect tomorrow until Tuesday within those regions that you've mentioned as bad as what last week was?
Maybe let's start with the snow. We're expecting a drop in temperatures from tomorrow, the 29th, over most parts of the Western Cape province. Light snow is expected over the high-lying grounds of the Western Cape, especially the northern parts or northern grounds, with stretching to the extreme southern parts of the Northern Capes are reaching Sutherland with a maximum of 8 degrees expected tomorrow. And then it will spread into Eastern Cape, especially the eastern half, the Drakensberg Mountain into Lesotho. The snow that's expected is not ours of magnitude that we got last weekend. It's quite very light, and it's expected, and it's possible, rather, I think that would be the right word to use. It's possible for it to happen considering we're in spring. We're expecting a drop in temperatures over the Eastern Cape all the way to KwaZulu-Natal from the 30th into the 1st. And this is expected over the southern parts of Mooi River in KwaZulu-Natal, stretching to the borders of Lesotho, the Drakensberg Mountain, into the high-lying grounds of the Eastern Cape province for the 30th to the 1st. That's where we're seeing a drop in temperatures all the way to the eastern parts and touching the escarpments of Mpumalanga from the 30th into the 1st.
So we're not expecting it to be as disruptive as it was last week?
Yeah, we don't have a warning for disruptive snow. Last week's one was quite severe in terms of the centimeters. The one that we're expecting is between 0 to about 3 centimeters. The one that we had last week was about 15 to 30 centimeter in depth. So that was quite of a severity, hence the warnings that were issued. I mean, we're all orange in terms of the significant impact, but it moved to being severe in orange level 8, or rather, which was quite more and more severe.
And were you expecting that orange level 8?
Yeah, we were expecting the disruptiveness and the impact. And as it unfolded in terms of the snow keeping on falling into overnight, and when people were stuck on the road, then it resulted in us making it severe. But initially, it was already significant. It was orange level 6. So the level was just a change. The difference was just the likelihood of it happening, because then when the temperature started to improve, the likelihood of the impact then goes down, because the snow was not expected to be more of the precipitation that was part of the cards in the forecast. However, the impact was quite severe. I mean, roads were closed. The R74, you couldn't travel from the Free State, whether Eastern Cape into KZN. It was quite drastic in terms of how everything got into be hectic. And yeah, we were expecting it.
Speaking of that severity, I mean, you mentioned the Northern Cape, the Eastern Cape, and Mpumalanga, that orange level 5 that could be expected there. What's then the effect of all of this on the rest of the country, like in Gauteng, in the Northwest, in Limpopo? Are we going to be feeling the cold like we did last week?
Yeah, the warning was obviously for the southwestern areas, but for tomorrow, it's just a yellow level 2 that's expected over KwaZulu-Natal. Damaging winds and waves are along the coastal areas, just along the south coast of the country, covering the Western Cape. I'd say just between Cape Agulhas all the way to East London. That's where you're expecting this damage of strong winds. And disruptive rain is mainly over the Western Cape province, especially the Cape Islands is stretching to the city of Cape Town, the municipality. But for the central and the eastern parts, you can expect isolated showers and thunder showers will be scattered around KwaZulu-Natal to the southern parts of Mpumalanga, but Gauteng as well as some parts of the northern areas will be quite hot. I mean, Limpopo's temperatures tomorrow expected to reach a maximum of about 40 in Musina, and that's quite very, very hot. And in Mpumalanga, we're expecting the low faults, Kukuza, will also reach a maximum of 40. That's still in the forecast today. So for the central and the eastern parts, it will be quite warm and hot. Then gives grounds to building up to severe thunderstorms in the area of KwaZulu-Natal into the southern parts of Mpumalanga. So we're expecting isolated showers and rain mainly over the northeastern provinces. Will cover the Free State, Mpumalanga, Gauteng, as well as the most parts of the central and the eastern parts of the northwest province. Southwestern areas were very cold, especially over areas of the Western Cape, stretching to the southern and central parts of the Northern Cape, as well as the Eastern Cape. We're expecting isolated to scattered chance of showers and rain.
I mean, let's take a look at Johannesburg, for instance. We had quite a sunny day earlier on, and now there's showers. It's slightly cold. You say this is pretty normal. How much of this can we attribute to La Niña? Because we're all expecting it's the end of September. We should be in our straw hats and our shorts by this time of the year.
Yeah, it's a knock-knock to summer. I mean, so spring is a transition from winter into summer.
Right.
That's why we got those snowy conditions in the area, because in August is where we usually see a lot of our snow, especially due to a system that we had. We had a cut-off low weather system, which was cold core, as well as a cold front that moved further east. And behind it, we had a high-pressure system that was pushing all the cold behind the cold front that was left behind into the region. Now, what we're seeing now is that a transition from obviously winter into summer. We're expecting more weather of the summer, and the eastern half is expecting more summer rainfall in the summer. And with what you've mentioned, the La Niña, it's about a 60% chance forecast of us moving into La Niña. What that means is that we're expecting above normal rain for the central and the eastern parts provinces, covering the Free State, the eastern half of the Eastern Cape province, KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga, as well as Gauteng as the northwest province. So you can expect above normal rain, but I'd say equivalent to that, above normal as well. Above normal temperatures are still expected, the maximum and the minimums countrywide. So we're expecting the summer to then knock, and with more that, we're probably going to get more summer rainfall.
And with that summer rainfall, possibly could come with a lot of flooding, especially in areas like KZN. Do you find that people respond to these warnings, or it's just warnings that you send out and then we react only when situations happen?
You know, to be honest with you, I think we need to be more proactive as opposed to being reactive to warnings. And by that, I mean, if you see what happened the past weekend, we had a disruptive snow, we had a media release out, we had warnings sent out, but people still traveled. Yes, I know the excitement of seeing snow in South Africa. You want to build a snowman, but you forget the part where you have to be cautious in how you're doing it. If it's definitely sent out a warning, as much as we take it as serious as it would get in us sending a warning, people should start taking the warnings as serious as we send them out. The same message goes obviously to disaster management and the people who work with it, because the more we get to be proactive, it's good to prepare before than to react after the instance, because then the costs of it, some even lose their lives through the tragedy that comes with the weather severity.
Speaking about preparedness, you did say that this weekend's weather conditions won't be as disruptive as last week's, but are there any collaborations with disaster management teams with what could possibly happen, especially in areas like the N3 toll? Yeah,
I think one thing we can stretch now, it's the cold. I mean, it will get cold, and there's a possibility of heavy rain in some areas. As we've mentioned, we had disruptive rain in the southwestern areas. So with every warning that we send out, it doesn't only go to the public. The disaster management is aware of it, and they get all the warnings out. Then in their side of preparing, I wouldn't know and be aware. But from our side and the weather, we've sent out the warnings. And in terms of collaboration, I mean, it's interviews like this that help send out the message in the public. That's what we, I think, hoping that people get the message. And if you see a warning, you start acting prior to it happening. Don't travel unnecessary and actually want to see the warning materialize on you.